Hello. I wanted to speak to you a little bit about the differences in the dog training world between professionals. And what I mean by that is a trainer versus a behaviorist versus a veterinary behaviorist. A veterinary behaviorist is board certified. They can prescribe medication and they can do much more of the health parts of a dog's behavioral issues. They very often have some degree of training knowledge. I won't say that all of them are experts. A lot of them are trained with very outdated methods that were debunked in 1990. And if you want, I can send you a link to the Whole Dog Food Journal, Whole Dog Journal about um, the whole pack leader theory, the dominance alpha theory, and how that has been debunked and where it came from, even, and why it doesn't make sense to apply it to every situation. Um, for trainers, they are usually capable of teaching things like basic obedience, come, sit, down, stay, release. They may even be specialized and capable of teaching service dogs, therapy dogs, and that's its own arena that I won't get into for this video. But when we talk about behaviorists, this is where the challenge really comes in. The United States does not regulate the animal training industry at all. There is no legal certification requirement. There is no minimum standard of education or proficiency demonstration in order to become a dog trainer or a behaviorist. Veterinary behaviorist, yes. And so you will see people charging outrageous amounts of money. Several, let's just say, internet famous trainers that I won't name, um, charge upwards of uh, anywhere from 1,100 to $1,500 for one session, and they have no certification of any kind to back that up because it's not legally required. There isn't one that has any actual standing. Um, and they have very often extremely outdated methods. They are abusive. They have really fancy looking before and after videos where you see a dog with an extreme aggressive outburst stop aggressing, and it makes for a really great video, and a lot of people buy into it and are willing to pay $1,500 to make that happen all at once. What people don't understand is that trainers who work with behavior that way are teaching dogs things like learned helplessness or flooding them to the point that they shut down. And so, yes, they look better, but the ends don't justify the means, in my opinion. Abusing a dog and scaring it into not aggressing anymore is not addressing the root cause of the aggression. And aggression can come from fear. It can come from frustration. It can just be that the dog got overexcited and hit the tipping point and went too far the other way. And it can be congenital. It can be neurological. It can be so many different things. And trying to treat it with a one-size-fits-all correction-based approach purely addresses the symptoms, the snarling, the growling, the barking, the lunging, the snapping, the biting. All of these things are symptoms of an underlying cause. And if we only stop symptoms, it doesn't actually improve the dog's quality of life, which is my personal, and some people disagree with me, and that's fine, but that's my personal priority. I always approach a session from the point of view of the dog. I always approach a treatment plan from the point of how the dog's well-being can be improved and in a way that is realistic for the owner to do as much as possible. Sometimes it's not feasible, and that's understandable, but most of the time that takes longer. And I don't have fancy schmancy videos to show you of big fireworks before and super calm after, because my whole plan looks very calm. I never provoke a dog to aggress. People want to send me, prospective clients, I mean, want to send me videos of their dog being ultra aggressive so that I can diagnose it. And I don't need to see that. I don't want to see that. I don't want the dog to practice aggression. The more they do it, the more they prove to themselves that it works. And that's not helpful. So when I do my evaluations, I try to keep them as under threshold as possible while still being able to gauge their body language correctly. And very often they don't aggress with me. Or if they do, it's much shorter than it normally is, just because of how I structure my sessions. And again, I'm structuring the sessions to make the dog successful. I'm doing it from the point of view of the dog I'm working with. I don't have a one size fits all approach. I have strategies that usually work for everybody, but how I employ them varies case by case. So I want to talk about what kind of behaviorist, or some people call me a psychologist for dogs, a canine psychologist, I am. And if you get a trainer who says they're certified with the IACP, that's the, I think, International Association of Canine Professionals, or the CCPDT, the um, Council of Canine Professional Dog Trainers, or any other organization like that. Um, they have a unifying standard that they test people who pay to take their exam. And that's a start, but it's a for-profit endeavor. And I just never agreed with that way of doing things because they're making a profit on something that has no legal standing. There's no government approval for the criteria they set, for the price they charge. And so I just never agreed with getting that kind of certification. What I ended up doing instead is getting a master's degree in animal behavior and wellness. And it's kind of rare. I'm the only one of me to have a master's degree in my area or anywhere nearby that I've ever met. Um, so my specialty species was canine, feline, and equine, so dogs, cats, and horses. And when I work with animals, I'm coming from a place that has a program that is accredited, that does have some government approval because it's an accredited university. And I have more background in things like nutrition and things like um, exercise and how dogs regulate their emotions. And um, I cannot prescribe medication. I cannot do anything related to veterinary health. That is not what I pursued. I'm not interested in the medicine part. I'm more interested in the working with the dog part. So very often I do work with veterinary behaviorists, and they can find just the right medication cocktail for the really extreme cases. Or I am a stopgap when other trainers and so-called behaviorists don't work before going to a veterinary behaviorist. So let's talk about pricing. In California, where I was before, the good veterinary behaviorist within about an hour and a half There aren't that many. But the good one cost 1,200 for the first session, and I think 800 for follow-ups. The first session was 2 hours. I'm not sure how long the follow-ups were, maybe an hour. And it included an exam and blood work and all the things, but a lot of people can't afford $1,200 for one session and then $800 for follow-ups. I charge $250 for my initial, which usually lasts about 90 minutes. It includes some observation, it includes an evaluation, and it begins immediate plans for management, ways to prevent issues from happening, and training, ways to counter condition responses, desensitize to triggers, help teach people how to read their dog's body language. And I've looked for, in this area of New Mexico in Santa Fe, there is one veterinary behaviorist that I found. He's in Albuquerque, and I'm blanking on his name, sorry. But his website says that he charges $800 for the first 2 hour session. And a lot of people really can't afford that. So I can't do medication. I can't do anything medical for your dog. But I can do pretty much everything else. And I'm much more well-versed in the training methods part than most veterinary behaviorists are. So very often people will start with a veterinary behaviorist to get the medication cocktail just right, and then work with me to do whatever the veterinary behaviorist has planned. And I also have some freedom to improve upon their training knowledge if needed. So I've developed what I call my 6 steps. I work with Leslie McDevitt's Look at That game a lot. I do the engage disengage game, which kind of is a follow-on to Look at That. And I do Grisha Stewart's BAT 2.0. And then I have some unique prescription plans based on the dog that I'm working with. So things like learning how to relax, which if you want to read about how to do that in a very practical, scientific way, you could read Emma Parsons' book, Click to Calm. And yeah, I have a very nerdy brain, so I have a lot of tricks up my sleeve from other people. I have a lot of tricks up my sleeve from my own experience. And I just wanted to explain why the prices vary so extremely, who is qualified and who I don't think actually is qualified, what certifications are and aren't, and what methods would be appropriate to treat aggression and what are just for show. So I will get off my soapbox. Thank you for watching. Bye.